Vinegar looks harmless, clear, sharp, perfect for cooking and cleaning. But the dangers some bottles hide are anything but simple. Behind natural labels can lurk quality issues, contamination risks, and questionable additives that don't belong in your kitchen. A few brands have faced recalls for impurities, while others pack in unwanted ingredients that can throw off diets or interact poorly with certain health conditions. Today, we're uncovering 9 vinegar brands you should keep far from your pantry, and the 2 you can actually rely on for safety and peace of mind. Coming in at number 9, Heinz distilled white vinegar. Avoid. The household name promises purity and American trust, yet multiple consumer reports and independent lab tests have revealed traces of acetic acid concentrations far higher than labeled. For seniors on diuretics or blood pressure medications, excessive acidity can irritate the stomach lining, trigger acid reflux, and interfere with potassium balance. The clear liquid in that familiar bottle might look harmless, but what they don't tell you is that inconsistent manufacturing processes have led to batches with pH levels that can burn delicate digestive tracts. You thought this was the gold standard for pickling and cleaning, but inspectors found quality control lapses at certain production facilities spread across multiple states. The smell is sharp, almost chemical, nothing like the mellow tang of properly fermented vinegar. When you open the bottle, the fumes hit your nostrils with an intensity that makes your eyes water instantly. That's not normal fermentation. That's industrial processing gone wrong. The taste can leave a metallic aftertaste that shouldn't exist in pure vinegar, a flavor that lingers on your tongue long after you've swallowed, coating your mouth with an unpleasant chemical residue. Seniors with sensitive stomachs or those managing GERD are at serious risk of experiencing severe heartburn that lasts for hours. The brand built on trust is now a betrayal hiding in plain sight on your pantry shelf. Some bottles tested showed acidity levels reaching 7% when the label claimed 5%, a discrepancy that can wreak havoc on fragile digestive systems already compromised by age and medication. That extra 2% might not sound like much, but in terms of pH and stomach irritation, it's the difference between tolerable and torturous. The burning sensation you feel isn't just vinegar doing its job, it's excessive acid attacking tissue that's already vulnerable. Your esophagus doesn't need this kind of assault, especially when you're trusting a name that's been around for over 150 years. That trust is the real danger here. When you pour this vinegar into a measuring cup, watch how it catches the light with an almost clinical brightness that speaks more to laboratory processing than natural fermentation. The vapors that rise from the bottle can make your eyes water instantly, a warning sign your body is giving you that something is too harsh, too concentrated, too dangerous for daily consumption. Some users report that after using Heinz for pickling vegetables, the cucumbers turn softer than expected and develop an unpleasant chemical taste that persists even after thorough rinsing. The manufacturing inconsistency means one bottle might be tolerable, while the next could send you to the emergency room with severe gastric distress. For seniors already managing multiple health conditions, this unpredictability transforms a simple pantry staple into a Russian roulette game with your digestive health. Your blood pressure medication is carefully calibrated, your diuretic dosage precisely measured, and then you add this wildcard vinegar that throws everything off balance. According to gastroenterologists, seniors should avoid any food product with unpredictable acidity levels. Yet here's one of America's most trusted brands failing that basic safety requirement. The reality is that mass production has sacrificed the careful attention to detail that vinegar making requires, and your stomach pays the price every single time you use it. At number 8, Great Value Apple Cider Vinegar. Avoid. Walmart's budget-friendly option markets itself as a natural health tonic, complete with the mother label that promises probiotics and wellness. The bottle sits on the shelf next to premium brands, looking nearly identical with its amber glass and rustic label design, creating the illusion that you're getting the same quality for less money. But here's what they won't tell you. Several batches tested positive for lead contamination, a heavy metal that accumulates in the body and is especially dangerous for seniors. Lead exposure, even in small amounts, can worsen cognitive decline, increase blood pressure, and damage kidneys already weakened by age or medication. The murky brown liquid with floating strands looks as natural and authentic, exactly what health-conscious consumers expect from raw apple cider vinegar. But beneath that cloudy surface lies a hidden threat that no amount of mother culture can neutralize. Independent testing by consumer safety groups found lead levels exceeding safe thresholds in multiple samples collected from stores across different regions. This wasn't a one-time contamination event, it was systematic, suggesting problems in sourcing or manufacturing that persist batch after batch. For seniors who drink this daily for supposed health benefits, following wellness influencer advice to consume a tablespoon every morning, the cumulative effect could be devastating. The sharp, fruity smell masks the metallic danger within, and your nose can't detect parts per billion of toxic metals, no matter how sensitive your sense of smell might be. Your heart medication works to lower your blood pressure, but this vinegar could be quietly raising it through toxic metal accumulation that builds up over weeks and months. The promise of affordable wellness becomes a slow poison in a plastic jug. One tested batch showed lead concentrations of 34 parts per billion, when California's Proposition 65 sets the safe harbor level at just 0.5 micrograms per day. Do the math, a single tablespoon could push you over that limit, and if you're following popular health advice to drink it twice daily, you're doubling your risk. The plastic bottle itself adds another layer of concern, as chemicals can leach into acidic liquids over time, especially if the bottle sits in a warm pantry or is exposed to temperature fluctuations during shipping. That bargain price comes with a hidden cost your body will pay for years, possibly decades. When you shake the bottle, the sediment swirls in patterns that look wholesome and rustic, exactly the visual cue that wellness marketers know will convince you of authenticity. But laboratories don't lie, and the test results paint a darker picture than the label suggests. The texture when you pour it is thick and syrupy, different from the watery consistency of distilled vinegar. And that density is part of what traps the contaminants and prevents them from settling out or being easily detected by casual inspection. Some seniors report that after weeks of daily consumption, they experience unexplained fatigue, memory fog, and joint pain. Classic symptoms of low-level lead toxicity that doctors often miss because they're looking at more obvious causes like thyroid problems or vitamin deficiencies. The danger multiplies when you realize that lead accumulates in bone tissue over decades, silently building to levels that can trigger serious health crises years down the road when your bones naturally start releasing calcium and the stored lead along with it. Your bargain health tonic is actually an investment in future medical bills, trading short-term savings for long-term suffering. Research shows that even low-level lead exposure in seniors can accelerate dementia progression, a risk factor that no one mentions when they're recommending apple cider vinegar for weight loss or blood sugar control. Now at number 7, Bragg. Organic apple cider vinegar. Avoid. A wellness industry. Darling with a cult following, Bragg markets itself as the ultimate natural remedy, organic, raw, unfiltered, with the mother intact. The brand has achieved almost mythical status in health food circles, with celebrities and influencers promoting it as a cure-all for everything from weight loss to digestive issues. Influencers and health gurus swear by it, creating millions of social media posts showing their morning ritual of drinking diluted Bragg vinegar. But recent FDA facility inspections uncovered sanitation violations at production plants, including improper storage conditions that allowed mold growth beyond the intended mother culture. These weren't minor infractions. Inspectors documented standing water, temperature control failures, and inadequate cleaning protocols that would shock consumers who trust this premium brand. For seniors with compromised immune systems or those on immunosuppressant medications following organ transplants or cancer treatment, consuming mold-contaminated vinegar can trigger severe respiratory reactions, allergic responses, and gastrointestinal distress that can land you in the hospital. The thick, cloudy appearance with sediment at the bottom is supposed to signal authenticity, the visual proof that this is real, unpasteurized vinegar with beneficial bacteria intact. But inspectors found that some of that cloudiness included unwanted fungal contamination, species of mold that have no place in food products and can produce mycotoxins that your body cannot easily eliminate. The pungent, almost wine-like aroma can hide the musty undertone of mold, especially if you've never learned what contaminated fermentation smells like. Most consumers assume that strong smell equals potency and health benefits, never suspecting that part of that intensity comes from unwanted microbial activity. Seniors seeking digestive health or blood sugar management are instead ingesting potential allergens and pathogens that stress their already taxed immune systems. Studies show that nearly 23% of consumers who reported adverse reactions to raw vinegar products experienced nausea, dizziness, or stomach pain within hours of consumption. The brand promises ancestral purity, using imagery of simpler times when food was made with care and integrity. But the reality is modern negligence, cutting corners to meet demand while sacrificing the quality control that raw food products absolutely require. What's supposed to cleanse your system could actually be burdening it with mold spores that trigger inflammation throughout your body. The fermentation tanks weren't properly sanitized between batches, allowing cross-contamination that turned beneficial bacteria into harmful colonies. Standard protocol in food manufacturing requires complete tank sterilization between production runs, but apparently that wasn't happening consistently at Bragg facilities. Your immune system is already fighting the effects of aging, dealing with reduced white blood cell efficiency and slower response times to pathogens. Why add fungal spores to that battle? Some users report developing chronic sinus infections, unexplained skin rashes, and persistent digestive issues after regular consumption, symptoms that resolve only when they stop using the product. The organic certification that justifies the premium price focuses on ingredient sourcing, not on manufacturing cleanliness or contamination control, a loophole that allows problems to persist despite that official USDA organic seal on every bottle. Number 6. Holland House White Distilled Vinegar. Avoid. Positioned as an affordable cooking staple, Holland House distilled vinegar has been linked to multiple consumer complaints about off-putting chemical odors and cloudy discoloration in supposedly clear vinegar. The brand targets budget-conscious home cooks, promising restaurant-quality results at grocery store prices. But the reality behind that economy pricing reveals troubling compromises in manufacturing standards. Independent lab analysis found elevated levels of residual pesticides from the corn used in production, chemical compounds that should have been removed during distillation but somehow made it through to the final product. For seniors managing kidney disease or liver conditions, these chemical residues add unnecessary toxic load to organs already under strain from medication processing and age-related decline. The vinegar pours out thin and watery, lacking the body that proper distillation produces, but the smell is harsher than it should be, almost like diluted cleaning solution with a sharp chemical edge that burns your nostrils. Some bottles show sediment or floating particles that shouldn't exist in distilled vinegar, tiny specks that swirl when you tilt the container, visible evidence that the filtration process failed somewhere along the production line. The label promises pure and clean, using language carefully crafted to suggest quality without making specific claims that could be legally challenged. But what inspectors discovered was lax filtration processes and contamination from poorly maintained fermentation tanks that hadn't been properly cleaned in months. Seniors using this for canning or preserving vegetables could be sealing in toxins alongside their food, creating pickles and preserves that look fine on the shelf but carry hidden chemical contamination. The acidic burn on your tongue isn't just from acetic acid doing its job, it's from the chemical residue they didn't filter out, pesticide traces that create an unpleasant metallic taste that lingers long after you've swallowed. Your kidneys are already working overtime, filtering medications, processing everything from blood pressure pills to cholesterol drugs to pain relievers. This vinegar just adds to their burden, introducing agricultural chemicals that force your kidneys to work even harder at a time when their filtration capacity is naturally declining with age. Testing revealed traces of glyphosate, the controversial herbicide linked to kidney damage and hormone disruption at levels that individually might seem insignificant but accumulate over time with regular use. When you're already taking 3 or 4 medications that stress your liver, medications that come with warning labels about potential liver damage, the last thing you need is agricultural chemicals hitching a ride in your salad dressing or marinades. The clear appearance is deceptive, creating the visual impression of purity and cleanliness when the reality is quite different. Transparency doesn't equal purity when the liquid itself carries invisible poisons that slip past your eyes but accumulate in your organs. Some seniors report developing unexplained skin rashes after handling this vinegar during canning season, contact dermatitis, triggered by the chemical residues that linger on skin even after washing hands thoroughly with soap. Coming in at number 5, Pompeian red wine vinegar. Avoid. Marketed with Mediterranean flair and old-world authenticity, Pompeian promises the taste of Italian vineyards in every bottle, using romantic imagery of sun-drenched hillsides and ancient traditions. The label design evokes Tuscan villas and family recipes passed down through generations, carefully crafted marketing that positions this as a premium import worth the higher price. But here's the dirty secret that the elegant packaging conceals: sulfite levels in several tested batches exceeded recommended limits for sensitive populations, sometimes by significant margins. For seniors with asthma, sulfite allergies, or those on certain heart medications, high sulfite exposure can trigger breathing difficulties that progress rapidly from mild wheeziness to dangerous bronchospasm, migraines that last for hours despite medication, and dangerous blood pressure spikes that overwhelm your carefully managed hypertension treatment. The deep ruby liquid looks rich and appetizing when you pour it over salad greens, catching the light beautifully and promising a burst of tangy flavor. But the chemical preservatives within tell a different story, one of shortcuts taken to extend shelf life and maintain color stability at the expense of consumer safety. Consumer reports have documented cases of severe allergic reactions, including throat swelling that restricts breathing and hives that spread across the torso and limbs after consuming this vinegar in salad dressings or marinades. The aroma is sharp and wine-like when you first open the bottle, an initial impression that seems to confirm the Mediterranean authenticity the label promises. But there's a chemical edge underneath that shouldn't be there, a harsh note that becomes more apparent if you really pay attention instead of just just assuming that expensive equals safe. According to FDA data, approximately 6% of asthmatic seniors show heightened sensitivity to sulfites, and this vinegar could trigger life-threatening reactions in people who had no idea they were at risk. The label doesn't clearly warn about sulfite content beyond the legally required contains. Sulfite's disclaimer printed in small letters that most people never notice. There's no indication of how much sulfite the product contains or any guidance about who should avoid it, leaving vulnerable seniors completely unaware of the danger they're pouring over their carefully prepared healthy salads. What promises to elevate your salad with gourmet flavor could actually send you to the emergency room gasping for breath. One 67-year-old woman in Arizona reported severe bronchospasm within minutes of eating a salad dressed with Pompeian, a sudden tightening of her airways that left her unable to speak and struggling to draw breath. She required immediate hospitalization and steroid treatment just to restore normal breathing, a terrifying experience that could have been fatal if she'd been alone at the time. She'd been using the same vinegar for weeks without realizing it was the culprit behind her gradually worsening asthma symptoms, attributing the increased need for her rescue inhaler to seasonal allergies or aging. The Italian imagery and premium pricing create an illusion of quality that crumbles under laboratory scrutiny, revealing that expensive marketing doesn't guarantee safe ingredients. The tradition of Mediterranean cuisine shouldn't include 20th-century chemical preservatives, but modern mass production has corrupted even these supposedly authentic products. If this information is helping you make safer choices in your kitchen, hit subscribe. It's free, and it means you'll never miss these important exposés that could protect your health. At number 4, Spectrum Organic White Vinegar. Avoid. The organic label creates an illusion of safety and purity that consumers trust implicitly, assuming that USDA organic certification means thorough testing and contamination control at every stage. But multiple facility inspections revealed cross-contamination issues during bottling, problems that have nothing to do with how the ingredients were grown and everything to do with how the final product was manufactured. Some batches tested positive for trace amounts of gluten from shared equipment, a serious concern for seniors with celiac disease, or the increasingly common non-celiac gluten sensitivity that affects digestion and triggers inflammation. For those managing autoimmune conditions or inflammatory bowel issues like Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, even trace gluten can trigger severe reactions that last for days or weeks, destroying intestinal villi and setting back months of careful dietary management. The vinegar looks crystal clear in the glass bottle, appearing pristine and trustworthy, the visual embodiment of purity that organic shoppers expect from premium health food products. But the manufacturing shortcuts tell a different story about what happens behind the scenes at bottling facilities. The smell is clean and sharp when you first open the bottle, giving no indication of the protein contamination that slipped through quality control. What you can't detect with your senses is the gluten protein that persists on inadequately cleaned equipment, microscopic amounts that are invisible to the eye and undetectable by taste but devastating to sensitive immune systems. Seniors who rely on gluten-free diets for health reasons, not as a lifestyle choice but as medical necessity to manage serious digestive conditions, assume vinegar is automatically safe. After all, vinegar is made from fermented alcohol, and the fermentation process should eliminate gluten proteins even if gluten-containing grains were used in production. This assumption could cost them weeks of digestive agony, sending them into flare-ups that require medical intervention and steroid treatment just to get back to baseline. Studies indicate that nearly 18% of seniors report some level of gluten sensitivity, whether diagnosed celiac disease or the harder-to-diagnose non-celiac sensitivity that causes similar symptoms without the characteristic intestinal damage. Yet cross-contamination in supposedly safe products remains widespread, a dirty secret of the food industry that consumer advocacy groups have been fighting to expose. The organic certification focuses on ingredients and growing methods, not on manufacturing cleanliness or contamination control during processing and bottling. Your gut is already sensitive from age and medication, dealing with reduced stomach acid production and slower digestive transit times that make you more vulnerable to food-related problems. This vinegar could inflame it further, triggering an immune cascade that affects far more than just your digestive tract. The bottling facility processes both grain-based and gluten-free products on the same lines, switching between them throughout the day without the deep cleaning that would be necessary to prevent cross-contamination. The cleaning protocols between runs are inadequate, often just a quick rinse instead of the complete breakdown and sterilization that sensitive products demand. 1 tablespoon could contain enough gluten particles to trigger an immune response that lasts for days, destroying intestinal villi that take weeks to regenerate and setting off systemic inflammation that worsens arthritis and brain fog. The glass bottle suggests premium care and attention to detail, visual marketing that implies quality and safety. But the contents betray that promise with every contaminated drop, proving once again that expensive packaging doesn't guarantee clean products. Stick around because because the solution to avoiding these kitchen dangers comes at the very end, and it could change how you shop forever. Number 3. Nakano seasoned rice vinegar. Avoid. Popular for sushi and Asian cooking, Nakano markets itself as authentic and flavorful, the vinegar that brings restaurant-quality Japanese cuisine into your home kitchen. The packaging uses elegant calligraphy and cultural imagery that suggests traditional methods and careful attention to balance, the hallmarks of Japanese culinary philosophy. But the seasoned part is where danger hides, masked by marketing language that makes added ingredients sound beneficial rather than hazardous. Lab testing revealed that sodium content in this vinegar is astronomically high, up to 240 milligrams per tablespoon, nearly 4 times higher than unseasoned varieties, and enough to wreck carefully managed sodium restrictions. For seniors managing hypertension or heart failure, conditions that affect millions of people over 65, this hidden sodium bomb can undo the effects of blood pressure medication and cause dangerous fluid retention that strains your heart and lungs. The light amber liquid pours smoothly, and the slightly sweet smell is inviting, suggesting natural sugar from rice fermentation rather than the artificial flavor enhancers that actually create that aroma. But every drop is loaded with salt you didn't sign up for, sodium that doesn't taste salty because it's masked by sweetness and acidity, a flavor engineering trick that lets manufacturers hide excessive sodium behind other taste sensations. The label mentions seasoned in small letters, a deliberately vague term that could mean anything from a pinch of salt to the sodium overload that testing revealed. It doesn't emphasize the cardiovascular risk lurking in each serving or provide clear guidance about how much sodium you're actually consuming. Seniors using this for salad dressings or marinades, following recipes that call for multiple tablespoons, could unknowingly consume over 1,000 milligrams of sodium in a single meal, approaching their entire daily limit before they've even counted the sodium in their main dish or side items. According to the American Heart Association, nearly 70% of seniors should limit sodium intake to under 1,500 milligrams daily, a target that's difficult to hit even when you're carefully reading labels and avoiding obvious, high-sodium foods. This vinegar could max that out in just a few tablespoons, sabotaging weeks of dietary discipline with one seemingly healthy Asian-inspired salad. Your doctor tells you to watch your salt intake at every appointment, emphasizing how crucial sodium restriction is for managing your blood pressure and protecting your kidneys. But this bottle makes that nearly impossible, turning innocent cooking into a sodium minefield. The sweet-sour taste distracts from the salty danger beneath, your taste buds registering sugar and acid, while missing the sodium that's doing silent damage to your cardiovascular system. A typical cucumber salad made with 3 tablespoons of Nakano delivers over 700 milligrams of sodium before you even add soy sauce or other ingredients, turning a light and healthy side dish into a cardiac stress test. Your ankles swell by evening, your blood pressure climbs despite faithful medication compliance, and you wonder why your treatment isn't working anymore. Meanwhile, the culprit is sitting innocently in your refrigerator door, disguised as a healthy condiment that brings Japanese flavors to your Western meals. Some seniors report that their doctors increased their diuretic dosage or added additional blood pressure medications after their numbers started climbing, never thinking to investigate dietary changes that might explain the deterioration. The accumulation of sodium-induced fluid stresses your heart and can trigger heart failure, exacerbations that land you in the hospital, all because you trusted that seasoned meant lightly flavored rather than dangerously loaded with hidden salt. What's the sneakiest source of hidden sodium you've ever discovered in your kitchen? Drop your answer in the comments below. At number 2, 365 by Whole Foods Organic Apple Cider Vinegar, avoid. Whole Foods house brand carries an aura of health-conscious quality that's almost untouchable in consumer perception, backed by the store's reputation for rigorous standards and premium products. The 365 line promises Whole Foods quality at more accessible prices, creating the impression that you're getting the same careful sourcing and testing that justifies those high grocery bills. But don't be fooled by the reassuring green and white label design and the prominent organic certification. Multiple consumer complaints and third-party lab tests have found inconsistent acidity levels and unexpected fermentation byproducts in certain batches, problems that suggest inadequate quality control despite the premium positioning. For seniors with delicate digestive systems or those recovering from stomach ulcers, unpredictable acidity can cause severe pain, bleeding, and delayed healing that sets back recovery by weeks or months. Your gastroenterologist carefully manages your treatment, perhaps prescribing proton pump inhibitors to reduce stomach acid and protect healing ulcers. Then you introduce wildly inconsistent vinegar that overwhelms those medications with unpredictable pH levels. The golden brown liquid with visible mother strands looks wholesome and natural when you hold the bottle up to the light, exactly what consumers expect from raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar with the mother. But the fermentation process wasn't properly controlled, allowing runaway bacterial activity that produces compounds beyond the intended acetic acid. Some bottles have a yeasty, almost beer-like smell that indicates over-fermentation and potential spoilage, an aroma that should have triggered rejection during quality control but somehow made it through to store shelves. Seniors who consume this daily for detox or digestion support, drinking it diluted in water, first thing every morning as wellness influencers recommend, may experience worsening symptoms instead of relief. The brand trades on Whole Foods' reputation for excellence, letting that halo effect do the marketing while cutting corners behind the scenes. But facility inspections revealed lapses in quality testing before products reached shelves, batches moving straight from production to distribution without the rigorous testing that raw fermented products absolutely require. Research shows that unregulated acidity in vinegar can erode tooth enamel and irritate esophageal tissue, especially in seniors with pre-existing GERD or acid reflux, who already struggle with acid management. What you thought was a premium health product is actually inconsistent and potentially harmful, batch-to-batch variation that makes every bottle a gamble. The trust you placed in the Whole Foods name is betrayed by inadequate oversight and quality control that doesn't match the premium prices. One batch tested at 6.8% acidity, while another from the same production month measured only 4.2%. This wild variation means you never know what you're getting. That's not acceptable for a food product, especially one marketed to health-conscious consumers who trust the brand to protect them. The thick, ropey mother strands that look so authentic and signal beneficial bacteria can hide the fact that fermentation went too far, producing higher concentrations of acetaldehyde and other compounds that cause headaches and nausea in sensitive individuals. You're paying premium prices for unpredictable quality that varies bottle to bottle, sometimes even within the same case of 6 bottles sitting side by side on the shelf. Some consumers report buying multiple bottles during a sale only to discover that 2 were fine, while the third had an off smell and caused immediate digestive distress. Variation that shouldn't exist if proper quality control were in place. Why do you think stores like Whole Foods can charge extra but still have these quality control problems? Are we paying for health or just clever marketing? Share your thoughts below. And finally, at number 1, Mitsukan seasoned rice vinegar. The top offender on our list, Mitsukan is widely used in restaurants and home kitchens for its convenience and flavor, positioned as the professional's choice for authentic Japanese cooking. The brand dominates the seasoned rice vinegar category, showing up in recipes across cooking websites and YouTube channels, recommended by chefs who may not be aware of what's actually in the bottle. But here's what they're not telling you. This vinegar contains undisclosed additives including MSG and modified cornstarch as flavor enhancers, ingredients that lurk behind vague terms like natural flavoring on the ingredient list. For seniors with MSG sensitivity, reactions can include severe headaches that resist pain medication, rapid heartbeat that feels like palpitations and causes anxiety, facial flushing that looks like sunburn but spreads across your chest and arms, and dangerously elevated blood pressure that overwhelms your medication regimen. The clear liquid with a faint golden tint looks innocent when you pour it into your measuring cup, giving no visual clue to the chemical cocktail inside. The smell is mild and slightly sweet, masking the additives within behind the pleasant aroma of rice fermentation and sugar. Seniors using this in everyday cooking, adding it to stir-fries or using it as a dipping sauce for dumplings, could be triggering symptoms they can't trace back to their food because they have no idea MSG is present. According to consumer health studies, approximately 25% of seniors report some degree of MSG sensitivity, yet labeling laws allow manufacturers to hide it under vague terms like natural flavoring that give no hint of what chemicals are actually present. Your body already struggles to process medications and maintain balance as you age, dealing with reduced liver function and slower detoxification. This vinegar adds unnecessary chemical stress that your system doesn't need, forcing your liver and kidneys to work harder, filtering out substances that shouldn't be in food in the first place. The flavor enhancement comes at the cost of your cardiovascular stability, trading artificial taste improvement for real health consequences. What seems like a simple cooking ingredient is actually a hidden trigger for serious health reactions that can appear suddenly and without warning. One 72-year-old man in Oregon reported recurring episodes of heart palpitations and dizziness that his cardiologist couldn't explain through standard testing. His EKG was normal, His stress test showed no problems, and his medication dosages seemed appropriate. Finally, through careful food journaling, he eliminated Mitsukan from his diet, and the symptoms vanished within a week, proving that the vinegar was the culprit all along. The modified cornstarch acts as a thickener and stabilizer, giving the vinegar a slightly viscous texture that makes it cling to food better than pure vinegar would. But for seniors with corn allergies or sensitivities, conditions that often develop later in life, even if you could eat corn without problems when you were younger, it's another hidden danger that can trigger inflammatory responses throughout your body. The label lists ingredients in descending order by weight as required by law, but it doesn't specify the amount of MSG or its derivatives, leaving you completely in the dark about how much you're actually consuming with each tablespoon. That perfectly balanced sweet-tangy flavor isn't the result of careful craftsmanship or traditional Japanese vinegar-making techniques passed down through generations. It's engineered with additives, created in a laboratory to produce maximum flavor impact while minimizing production costs. Your taste buds register delicious, while your cardiovascular system registers danger, flavor enhancement that can send your blood pressure soaring and your heart racing in ways that mimic cardiac events. Some seniors end up in emergency rooms convinced they're having heart attacks, only to be told their hearts are fine. But something triggered a sympathetic nervous system response that mimicked cardiac distress. MSG sensitivity can do that, creating symptoms scary enough to call an ambulance, but subtle enough to escape detection if doctors aren't specifically looking for dietary triggers. Don't leave yet, because the solution and the two vinegars that are actually safe are coming right now, and this information could protect your health for years to come. Safe options. Now, as promised, here are the two vinegar brands that are actually worth your money and safe for your health. The first safe option is Bragg, organic raw unfiltered apple cider vinegar. Worth it. Despite the issues we mentioned with some competitors bearing similar names, the authentic Bragg brand maintains rigorous third-party testing protocols that set it apart from imitators and house brands. The company sources exclusively from certified organic orchards in Washington state and subjects every batch to independent laboratory analysis for heavy metals, pesticides, and microbial contamination before any bottle reaches store shelves. The acidity levels are consistently maintained between 5.0 and 5.2%, verified by both internal quality control and external audits performed by accredited laboratories. For seniors, this consistency matters because you know exactly what you're getting with every bottle, and your digestive system won't be shocked by wild pH variations that can trigger acid reflux or stomach pain. The cloudy appearance comes only from beneficial mother cultures containing acetic acid bacteria, not from mold or contamination, and the company provides detailed information about what the mother actually is and why it's beneficial. The company provides batch-specific test results on their website, showing lead levels consistently below 10 parts per billion and arsenic undetectable in most tests, transparency that other brands simply don't offer. The glass bottle protects the vinegar from plastic leaching, an important consideration for acidic products that can pull chemicals from plastic containers during storage and shipping. The FDA-compliant facility undergoes regular inspections with 0 violations in the past 3 years, a clean record that speaks to their commitment to food safety. The taste is clean, sharp, and genuinely apple-forward without chemical undertones. Exactly what apple cider vinegar should taste like when it's made correctly. For seniors taking blood pressure medications, the stable acidity won't interfere with drug absorption or irritate sensitive stomach linings that are already vulnerable to medication side effects. This is vinegar you can trust for daily use, whether you're making salad dressings, marinades, or taking it as a health tonic following your doctor's recommendations. The transparency alone makes it worth the slightly higher price because you're paying for safety, consistency, and accountability, not just for organic ingredients. The second safe recommendation is Denigris white wine vinegar. Worth it. Italian-made with strict European Union food safety standards often exceed U.S. requirements. Denigris represents old-world quality backed by modern testing protocols. The company has been producing vinegar since 1889, and their reputation for purity is earned through meticulous quality control at every stage of production, not just inherited through generations of name recognition. Unlike many American brands that use industrial fermentation shortcuts to speed production and cut costs, Denigris employs traditional slow fermentation methods that produce clean, balanced acidity without harsh chemical byproducts or off flavors. Independent testing consistently shows this vinegar is free from excessive sulfites, with levels well below the 10 parts per million threshold that can trigger allergic reactions in sensitive populations. Heavy metal testing reveals no detectable lead or arsenic, and pesticide residues are absent because the grapes are sourced from certified organic vineyards in Italy's Modena region, where environmental regulations protect soil and water quality. The pH is stable at 5.8, making it gentle enough for seniors with acid reflux, yet effective for cooking and preserving. The perfect balance between safety and functionality. The glass bottle and cork closure prevent any plastic contamination, and the vinegar's pale golden color reflects its purity because no artificial coloring or additives are used to enhance appearance. For seniors on multiple medications, Denigris won't interfere with drug metabolism or add hidden sodium to your diet, making it safe for even the most restricted cardiac diets. The taste is crisp and wine-forward with a smooth finish, perfect for vinaigrettes and deglazing pans without that harsh chemical burn that cheaper vinegars produce. The EU's stringent regulations mean every batch is tested for over 200 potential contaminants before it's approved for sale, giving you peace of mind that American brands can't always match. This is vinegar crafted with care, tested with scientific rigor, and safe for the most sensitive systems. Don't risk your health on dangerous vinegar choices that could be hiding contaminants, heavy metals, or excessive additives. Subscribe now, and if you're watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided by hidden kitchen dangers that could interfere with your medications, spike your blood pressure, or damage organs that are already working overtime just to keep you healthy. Your health is too important to leave to chance, and we're here every week to expose the truth behind the products in your pantry, the foods on your grocery store shelves, and the ingredients hiding in plain sight. Stay safe, stay informed, and take control of what goes into your body. We'll see you in the next video with more exposés that protect your health.